Yo, what's up? What's up?
So
Let's talk about
I'm
it.
the type of person, I'm gonna tell you the truth, no matter what, no matter how you feel. Heard that before? And the second part is, I'm nice until, let's talk about those two things real quick here. All right, let's start with the I'm nice until. Let me explain something to you. To a clear mind, anytime you say I'm nice until, what you're telling the clear mind is that your representative has a limited amount of time before your true self shows up. And to the clear mind, they don't really want to meet your representative. And it doesn't sound like the real you is somebody that they want to meet. So the clear mind just avoids that. I know it seems like it's so innocent. It seems like I'm kind until you do something, then I'm not kind. And I know it feels like the right thing to say. Well, let me explain something to you. If you walk into a room full of darkness and you're the only light, if you're the type of person to say, well, the darkness don't deserve my light, and you turn your own light off, that says a lot about you. Versus if you walk into a room full of darkness and they try to turn your light out, now you can be like, hey, no one gets to dim my light. No one but me. So stop saying that. Now, the second thing, I'm the type of person I'm always going to tell the truth. Now, this is me talking to myself right here, because I used to be that guy. Oh my God. I used to be that guy, because I would always say the truth is the truth, right? Can't argue with facts. And then at one point I realized that the truth is the truth, but how you say it also matters. It does matter. Sometimes it's not what you say, it is how you say it. And sometimes there is no nice way to say it. So you know what you're supposed to do then? Shut the fuck up. Not say anything at all until that person requests your counsel. Now, this is not to say none of these mistakes will not be made within the next 24 hours. But it is to say, try to do better. Holla at your boy. Let's talk about it.
What's up, gang? What's up? Started with that. Started creating these reels. Said in 2026 we were definitely going to create more content. So we definitely going to have that going. Definitely put those out every day. Go follow me on @PastorMikeWill. I'll definitely have those there. Would put them on Twitter. Twitter's just too freaking toxic. So, but these are going to be on Instagram. Definitely follow me on Instagram. Pastor Mike Will, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. I guess I need to go ahead and set up a Facebook this week. But yeah, we just create those daily. Drop the, well, I wouldn't even say daily. I probably won't do it on Saturday or Sunday unless I'm out walking. But knocking this out. Upcoming things in 2026. We still have our event, Dear Father's event that we're hosting. Not our event, Dear Father's event that we're hosting on January the 23rd. It's going to be at Bobcats Arena. Go to dearfathers.org. Might be .com. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly. Let's see here. Dearfathers.com. So yeah, go to dearfathers.com. You can purchase the tickets, which will give you access to the forum prior as well as tickets to the game. So please go there, check that out. We will definitely be hosting that. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody out there for that event. Also stay tuned as we are officially launching Patreon. You can join now, but we definitely have some value added services that we're adding to the top tier, which is the $25 tier. One of the things that you will have access to, as you saw that I named tonight's live, is the blackmail strategies. What we will do in blackmail strategies, y'all probably don't know, in my day job, I actually work in human resources and I work in talent acquisition. So one of the things that I definitely want to do, something that's real close to, I guess, to my heart, honestly, is making sure that top third of black men find themselves in situations where we're better off. We're better off tomorrow than we are today. So one of the things that I will be offering if you join the top tier is access to a intake where we will go through your resume, answer some intake questions, and see how we can get your career path to wherever you want to be. So definitely looking forward to doing that. That'll actually probably be up. Website probably up by this weekend, inshallah. But joining the top tier, you actually have access to that, and you have access to it for the $25 a month versus what the service will actually cost, which is a good bit more than that, if I'm being honest. So that will be lunch. You also will have access to the private discords for Black Male Strategy, as well as Black Dads Club, access to events, and a few other things that we're working on that is not out yet. But again, 2026, we're deciding that we have to push through. We have to take it serious. We have to go to the next level. So definitely would love to build a congregation of men out with that program and have us go from there. So let's hop into tonight. So I'm not going to be here too long. We missed the last 2 Wednesdays because one was Christmas Eve. Did not expect anybody to be here for Christmas Eve. And then the next Wednesday was actually New Year's Eve, which again, did not expect anybody to be here for that. So back here tonight for the first time in about 2 weeks. Glad to be back. Happy New Year to everybody. If you're watching this on Facebook, I believe this replays on Facebook. Again, housekeeping, Dear Father's event on January 23rd. Patreon, we do have at the higher tier Black Male Strategies that's coming, which will provide the career path thing. And I'm actually excited about it, the Black Male Strategies, because it's been in the works for a long time on paper, or I should say in my head, less time on paper. But one of the things that I am excited about is providing us an environment where, as Black men, we work on the professional, obviously, right? So the career pathing, resumes, interview questions, but also with business owners about how to conduct interviews, how to screen resumes, what questions you can and can't ask, but offer that too. But one of the things that I think is left out a lot of times in career coaching is the physical and the personal. So, you know, we can call it the 3 Ps. I know all of us love a good shorthand, but you know, when it comes to elevating your career, you know, your personal life matters, right? So all that matters, right? Relationship with friends, how you see oneself, your significant others, raising your children, child care, getting your kids, right? Like, personal life matters when you're trying to elevate your career or go to the next level, or definitely change careers, right? So one of the things that we're going to do is discuss the personal. The next thing we're going to do is discuss the physical, right? A lot of what you're trying to do, right? How much stress are you under, right? Do you need to change industries? Might be better, you know, to change industries. What is your body type? What is your health, right? How do you dress? I have actually had interviews where I've interviewed someone and I've told them, hey, when you go live, when you do the virtual meet with a hiring manager, something in that background, I need you to remove that from the background, because that's going to be distracting to the hiring manager, right? So, you know, it is that ideal of, you know, physically, how are you presenting yourself, right? And then we can go with the professionally. Sometimes we like to lead with the professional. I learned this as a young man in my career, in my lower 20s, about, you know, being able to do the work, being talented, crushing it, but my personal life was interesting, and the way I handled myself professionally, you know, well, even though I was probably the best at it, right, I didn't really carry myself in a professional manner. So one of the things that we definitely going to do in Black Male Strategies is talk about, you know, the personal, the physical, as well as the professional, and touch on all those things, and then have little group sessions, you know, whether it's every other week or chat settings where we can have these conversations and discuss these things live. So definitely looking forward to adding the Black Male Strategies edition to the top tier Patreon. So we will have that as well. Tonight, don't really have too much. Again, you know, Happy New Year. Welcome back. One of the things, had a conversation with a few friends, and we know that Venezuela was invaded. President was snatched out by United States military. Guy was taken back to New York City, perp walk, all those things. And, you know, I had a couple friends that were just, they pretty much just like, hey man, like what's going on, and, you know, what comes next. And one of the things that I told them, I said, what's going on right now in the United States? It reminds me of the kingdom of Prussia, right? Not Russia, Prussia with a P, right? And I don't think a lot of people even remember that was an actual nation. That was an actual country. And I'm not talking about it was an actual country 500 years ago. It was an actual country up until, let's see here, 1947, right? And it's so interesting that a lot of people don't even remember that this country existed, despite the fact that it existed less than 100 years ago. We had grandparents that was alive. Some of us have parents that was alive when the Kingdom of Prussia existed, right? So I got this quick YouTube short here. It's about 3 minutes. We're gonna let it play. We're gonna speak on some parallels, and then I'm gonna get out of here tonight. I'm gonna get out of everybody's hair. But let's go.
In as much as Prussia, with its staunch militarism, its dedication to phenomenal facial hair, and its iconic borders. Yet, if you look at a modern map, you'll see that there's a distinct lack of Prussia. But why? What happened to it, and where did Prussia go? Now, I know what many of you will already be saying. Prussia just became Germany, right? Which is both true and also isn't. You see, Prussia wasn't just a nation-state, but it was a cultural centre, a major part of the German-speaking world, and briefly an international great power whose influence stretched far beyond its own borders. Prussia's journey from firmly existing to not isn't a linear one, and this change starts in the mid-19th century. In 1866, due to a conflict surrounding the ownership of some land recently taken from Denmark, Prussia went to war with the Austrian Empire and its allies. It promptly defeated them, and as a result, the Prussian Chancellor Otto von Bismarck annexed the northern Austrian allies and forced its own to join the North German Confederation, which wasn't really a unified nation-state but more of an alliance completely dominated by Prussia. The North German Confederation didn't last too long because if you look at the time, you'll see it's time for war with France. And in this war, the Prussians were on the same side as the southern German states who came to its aid. And after defeating the French army, the victors proclaimed the creation of the German Empire, and for many this is where Prussia ceases to exist. Except that it didn't. The German Empire, as the name suggests, was an empire, and it consisted of several kingdoms, duchies and principalities, all of whom were considered to be semi-independent, barring matters of collective defence, that is. The emperor of this new Germany was also the King of Prussia, and the empire's chancellor was automatically the Prime Minister of Prussia too. Despite Prussia's dominance of the new German state, it shouldn't be seen as Prussia simply becoming the German Empire and as having annexed the other parts. They were all separate in the same way that Hungary and Austria were separate in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Like all empires, the German one didn't last forever, and after World War I it was dissolved, lost a bunch of territory, and was succeeded by the Weimar Republic. Much like the rest of the empire, Prussia lost its royalty and became the Free State of Prussia minus these lands, and it was now governed by its own diet. Now obviously Prussia still existed, but it was very changed and no longer reflected what it's historically famous for. For one, it was one of the more stable parts of the troubled Weimar Republic. For example, its state government was nearly always run by Otto Braun of the Social Democratic Party, which brought it into conflict in the late 1920s with the conservative German Chancellor and the central government. To fix this, the German Chancellor Franz von Papen and President Hindenburg issued a decree in 1932 simply dissolving the Prussian state government, and von Papen was now directly in charge of the state. He didn't last, and neither did the Weimar Republic, and its replacement maintained direct control over Prussia. The new government reformed Germany's internal states into new units called Gau in 1934. And this was basically the end of Prussia as a single territorial unit, but there were some titles and traditions which remained. Along came World War II, and as you'll know, Germany lost this one too. As the country was being occupied, Otto Braun approached the Allies and asked them to reinstate Prussia as an independent state. The Allies said no, because by this point they'd already decided to take this land from Germany. And also, there were many in the Allies that felt that German militarism came from the legacy of Prussia, and they believed that ending Prussia's very existence after a lost war would kill the cultural roots of militarism in the new Germany that was to come about afterwards. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to point out, in this short video, it doesn't do a great job, but it does a great job at explaining the Kingdom of Prussia that a lot of people do not remember. But one of the things that should stand out is the reason why they got rid of the Kingdom of Prussia, because it had a history of militarism, right? Prussia was actually one of the most powerful kingdoms, if not the most powerful kingdom, right up next to the Ottoman Empire in the 1800s, right? They kept starting fights, right? They kept attacking people. They kept conquering their neighbors. And one of the things that a conversation I had with a few of my friends, I was like, hey, we are running straight parallel to one of the greatest nations that have ever risen, that is no longer here. Not only is it no longer here, no one even remembers its name, right? And I know that's hard to imagine as being a citizen of the United States of America because, gosh, we're in the greatest country in the world. But you can't keep poking everybody and then expecting that everybody's going to come and say, yeah, we want you to exist after this, right? Poland exists today. Germany exists today. The Kingdom of Prussia does not exist today. And with the trajectory that we have in the United States, it's becoming quite eerily similar to what happened in the Kingdom of Prussia. All right. So this should be an advertisement, of, hey, in 2026, we should get to the polls, right? In 2028, I'm pretty sure we're all going to get to the polls, right? But in 2030, are we going to get to the polls? 2032, are we going to get to the polls and do the right thing again? Right? 2036, are we going to go right back to where we started again in 2016? Right? Looking at what happened here, right, with a militarized country, right? Because Prussia was a militarized country. And one of the things that I'm looking at when it comes to the United States, I'm like, we're not a country with an army, right? It's starting to look like that we are an army with a country. And I don't know if that's the best place for us as I look at what's happening between Russia and China. It looks like those two individuals are working together a lot to kind of weaken the United States of America, right? It looks like somebody wants a fleet in the Caribbean Ocean so they can track that fleet, right? And then they want another fleet in the Arctic so they can track that fleet. And if you have two of your fleets, out to sea, how much can you really focus in around, the South China Sea, right? How much, where you actually need 2-3 fleets there. So just looking at it militarily, just looking at parallels to history, I think history is very predictive. I think humans don't change much. I think we are more likely to respond to stimuli than we are to respond to ideals. And when I look at the stimuli that's coming for the United States of America, I can look at a lot of parallels between the Kingdom of Prussia and their trajectory and looking at the United States and our trajectory. And I think this is an opportunity. This is a moment for us to finally, one time in this country, one time, to say we don't need violence in order to do the right thing. We can actually show up at the polls. We can actually make a better decision. So, like I said, didn't have too much tonight. I'm gonna hop off here. I'll be back next week. Not really quite sure which direction we're gonna take it, but again, make sure you guys go to our page, Black Dads Club. Go to my page at Pastor Mike Will on Instagram and Twitter. Like I said, I'll be dropping little videos daily. Feel free to come there, comment. If you agree, comment. If you disagree, there's no such thing as a bad comment or a bad take. And outside of that, man, holla at your boy.